All right. So again, hello and welcome to the Think Positive, Create Victory webinar. This is Skills for a Mindset Makeover. And I am Selena Richardson. I am the founder of Promise Ministry Center. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm delighted to be here and to share some valuable information with you. I'm sure that everyone's listening today because we all have something in common. We all get overwhelmed with the trials of life at some point, and we find our minds start to produce a story to fit the situation. And the problem with that is that the story that keeps playing over and over in our minds is not a positive or an empowering story. And so that story leaves us with a lot of negative thoughts, paralyzing fears, anxiety, depression, and then we begin to feel powerless. We get confused, we get tired and fatigued, we begin to feel lifeless, and we become non-productive. So at some point, after feeling that way for a period of time and being in that state of mind, we make a decision that we want to conquer those negative thoughts, conquer those negative emotions, and we decide that we're ready to have victory over that non-productive way of thinking. So many of you are listening today because you made that decision. You want victory over your mindset, and you're ready for a mindset makeover. And that is why we're here. Because you're ready to break free from all of the chains and all of the negative thoughts, and you're ready to be free and put it behind you. You're ready for your mindset makeover. For myself, about 16 years ago, I made a decision to begin my journey of healing and transformation. It was a serious car accident and some health challenges that took me on this personal experience. And that's when, that's when I realized that God was really answering my prayers, that a transformation was beginning. And on this journey, I discovered that much of my childhood, I had battled a lot of feelings of rejection, often feeling like a misfit, like I didn't fit, the oddball out, just unique in my own way, but feeling like I didn't measure up to everyone else and there was no purpose. So I discovered that that mindset was a product of my environment, some unresolved challenges that were taking place. Now, even though I grew up in a home where we believed in God and they attended church, I didn't really have a clear understanding of a real relationship with God or how to even apply that relationship to my daily walk of life, because there were just a lot of internal conflicts. And during that healing process, that's when I started journaling some of my challenges and just writing down and noticing the things that were happening, the results that I was getting, and realizing that God was really answering some prayers. And that I had a lot of things to be grateful for. Through that process, scripture was what helped me and gave me some hope to hold on in the process and to not give up. So then I began to experience a different kind of peace. So when I applied the scriptures, I had new thoughts, a new mindset that was developing. And those new thoughts, they gave me a different perspective on situations. So I began to experience even more faith in a lot of different areas of my life, more faith, more peace. So I purposely chose to have a better thought, make a conscious effort to change the direction of my life and to believe God's word, believe what he said. So I discovered it was always available to me. I just didn't take the time to apply it and to really understand it. So on this healing journey, I began to identify all the answered prayers, recognizing how positive thinking was leading me to victory. I realized what true victory really was. I had a new definition of victory for my life. I actually took the time to define what victory meant for me, not what it meant for everybody else, but for me, which sometimes will be different. I began to understand what that the definition is different and unique for each person. We have our own victory, and we have to be respectful of others and the victory that they're choosing or the success that they're choosing for themselves. Each victory is individualized and personalized because it's God's plan. We have to be in tune with what we know and what he knows his plan is for us. So now I get a chance to experience victory every day. Each time I conquer a negative thought or circumstance, no matter whether it's big or small, in my mind, I transform that thought about the circumstance to what I know God's word says about it. I have to make a mental shift. And that mental shift can manifest into a physical shift in the situation, which turns into your victory. So that way I discovered a new mindset, a new way of thinking, a new approach to facing different challenges of life, and new techniques for conquering and tackling those challenges. And I think that was the most important thing, is identifying the techniques so that I could use them over and over again. So now I'm working on training and mentoring using the programs to foster positive thinking to create victorious results. I'm using my more than 3 decades of professional experience and life experiences to formulate the foundations of inspirational health, wellness, and self-discovery programs that I'm offering through Promise Ministry Center. And I'm motivated when I have an opportunity to share my experience of applying my faith, God's word, and his promise so that it can help overcome different challenges of life. I get inspired knowing that I've chosen to help empower and encourage others on their journey to conquering their challenges and reaching victory. And then I'm driven to fulfill God's purpose for my life, and having a business as the platform that keeps me grateful and hopeful and moving forward. Promise Ministry Center is a Virginia SWAM certified small, micro, and woman-owned minority business. Our services consist of wellness education training, resources that demonstrate processes for unlocking a transformation in your way of thinking, and launching a healing journey for your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit. And
All right.
At Promise Ministry Center, our goal is to create a healing journey that's going to promote peace beyond understanding, helps to cleanse your mind, body, soul, and spirit. As you take the healing journey, you discover ways to improve your thoughts and move towards victory in life. I'm a motivational speaker delivering inspirational self-development speeches that foster positive thinking to create victory. I'm skilled in delivering key points of information to diverse audiences and with a variety of topics that include entrepreneur and business education, youth programs, spiritual growth and healing, health and wellness, arts and crafts, and even event planning. Before starting Promise Ministry Center, I've worked for over 35 years in office management and administrative support roles. I enjoy arts and crafts, working with children, and event planning and praise dancing. I have a passion for working with children, sharing information to help empower others to overcome obstacles in their life and moving forward with a positive outlook. I volunteer as a Girl Scout troop leader and a Sunday school teacher, where I find innovative ways to empower youth. And I've been recognized by Girl Scouts with a Volunteer Board of Excellence. And I'm right now currently pursuing a public speaking certification and involved in local Toastmaster chapters. The programs at Promise Ministry Center are founded on concepts of realizing and appreciating God's promise in our daily lives and maintaining a grateful and prayerful heart. Also with promoting positive thinking and affirmations, enriching and uplifting the minds and lives of everyone that we interact with. And making healthy choices with the creative twist, having our own uniqueness. We offer health and wellness education, inspirational training programs, life coaching, and motivational speaking. We have publications, tools, and resources, video presentations, journals, workbooks, and other materials that are filled with scriptures plus positive and energizing messages. Plus, we also have inspirational products that include apparel, tote bags, jewelry, art, and some other gift ideas. It's important that we have a healing journey that'll help us gain mental freedom and strength and guide us to believing in God's promise for our life. When we reach our spiritual balance and renew our minds, we can think positive to create victory. We can start visualizing our goals coming to life, and then we can gain momentum towards our goals. Practicing positive thoughts habits build mental energy that helps us overcome our adverse life challenges. When strong positive mental energy and behavior travels from one person and then to another household, and then it goes to a neighborhood, the impact begins to surround our environment and communities on a local, regional, a national, and a worldwide level. And then when we become more engaged, loving, understanding, compassionate, and supportive to one another, that produces optimistic and victorious, life-changing circumstances for the entire world. Charlie Brown's picture here tells you that you have a place. It says, I am at a place in my life where peace is a priority, that I make a deliberate life choice. I make deliberate life choices to protect my mental, emotional, and spiritual state. So this is going to be an interactive conversation that we have today. You'll have a chance to use the chat icons to raise your hand or even type in comments and questions. So we'll get started with that part right now, just to make sure that everybody knows where the chat box is or that it's working for you. So when you find it or when you have it, if you could just type in "found it" for me, so I'll know that we're on the right track.
I don't have the chat box because I'm calling in from a phone.
Oh, okay. All right. So if you don't have the chat box, that's fine. But for those of you that do, if you could just type in "found it," and that way I will know that you're there. And also because I do have some links that I will send out as well that I'll put in the chat box at the end. And if you're not able to do that, I will be sending out an email that's going to have those same links in it. So yeah, I could see that your hand was raised. Okay. So we're ready to begin our healing journey and experience a mindset makeover, where you'll have an opportunity to renew your mind, reduce some stress, improve some health conditions, demonstrate a triumphant attitude, and become empowered to build great relationships and support systems. So this is where your healing journey and your transformation begins. So we should be ready to protect our mental, emotional, spiritual state and state of mind, and ready to make some deliberate choices. So we're going to be having a conversation about thinking positive and creating victory to help develop skills for mindset makeover. I'm going to be discussing the description, some goals, and some components of the mindset makeover. I'm going to explain and give some practical techniques that support making the mental shift. Then we'll talk about you embarking on your healing journey and offering a series of approaches and methodologies to help move forward to thinking positive to create victory. Then you'll enjoy sharing the information for about 30 minutes, and then I'll conclude the presentation and give you an opportunity to learn about some programs, and then have a few moments for questions and answers. And then in a few days after the presentation, you'll get a recorded copy of the webinar, but then you'll also get a packet that's going to have some of the reference materials and links for some different resources. The Mindset Makeover is a program where your healing journey to victory begins, the transformation starts. You have to think differently and even act differently in order to achieve the Mindset Makeover victory. You need to have a massive mindset makeover that'll bring you to a victorious breakthrough. And that's going to require utilizing your full brain power to create an awareness of your mindset and identify and evaluate your current way of thinking. This journey of transformation and healing, it is a process. So a process takes time. So please be patient with yourself. You'll have to repeat the steps and techniques and skills that you learn. You'll have to do them over and over again because repetition becomes permanent. It helps you to build your new positive habits. And then research tells us that after repeating something or an action for 21 days, that's when it becomes a habit, a new way of life for you. So this works for both positive and negative actions. And that's why it's important to be intentional and deliberate to have positive thoughts and actions. So what is the Mindset Makeover? It's a program to help you change the direction of your focus to produce positive thoughts, excuse me, that create victory, identifying tools to help empower your healing journey. The Mindset Makeover incorporates a series of approaches and methodologies to help you move forward to victory. You learn ways to tackle negative thoughts, understand what God's promise offers you, to confront fear, and many other helpful tips for a healthier mindset. The modules in the program include motivational courses, videos, resource guides, journals, workbooks, online education, photographic imagery with some positive messages, and inspirational products. The objective of the program is to help you change the direction of your focus to produce positive thoughts that create victory. The program works just the way that it sounds. Your mind goes through a makeover. It helps you change the look, the feel of your mind, and then you create a new you that's going to act and live different, and then thriving as you walk in victory. So get ready to turn things around. The program has several components to help you take the steps you need to create victory through your thoughts. The first is your transformation. The journey begins there. You have to look at the foundation of your thinking. Then we take a look at brain power, mind mapping, and our 5 senses and how that plays a role in your mind as well as your makeover. Then your faith and your spirituality. Then you have to think about making intentional and deliberate choices. And then when you're done, you have a self-evaluation, or what you can think of as the evolution as you get towards your success. The transformation of your mindset is similar to the life cycle of a butterfly. You have the egg or the larva or the caterpillar. They have the pupa, the chrysalis, and then you have an adult butterfly. Each stage has a different goal. And depending on the type of butterfly, the life cycle of the butterfly may take anywhere from 1 month to a whole year. So much like our lives, we have stages of our lives, and our transformation and our mindset makeover will take place in stages. And those stages will each have a different purpose. They'll each teach us something new and different. And the time will vary for each one of us because we're all different. So we definitely have to exercise patience. So we start with the eggs that are laid on the plants, and those plants become the food for the hatching caterpillar. And then our thoughts are formed in our minds, just like the eggs that are laid on the plants. Our thoughts, which we think of them as the eggs, become the food and the foundation that fuels our transformation. Then the next stage is the larva, the caterpillar. And the job of the caterpillar is to eat and eat. As the caterpillar grows, it splits its skin and sheds about 4 or 5 times. Food eaten at this time is stored and used as later on as an adult. Our eating is our learning, feeding our minds with positive and encouraging information, filling our spirits with motivating energy. As we grow our transition and build confidence, we shed those negative thoughts. We let go of fear and depression and unhealthy mindsets. We store up all of God's promises, empowering information and energy to use later when we encounter the challenges. Then we have the pupa, the chrysalis. That's our transition stage. So when the caterpillar is full grown and stops eating, it becomes the pupa, which is also called the chrysalis. And it's suspended under a branch that's hidden in leaves or buried underground. It's protected inside of a cocoon of silk, and this stage can last from a week, a month, or even years. It can look like nothing's going on, but big changes are really happening on the inside. The cells that are present begin growing rapidly. They become the legs, the wings, the eyes, and the other parts of the adult butterfly. Like the pupa, when we stop eating or feeding our minds with positive thoughts, our challenges leave us feeling like we are suspended under a branch, barely hanging on. Our true self, love, hope, and joy becomes hidden and buried in the trials of life. This stage of being buried and hidden can last for long periods of time. For us, God is our cocoon. We're protected by God. He uses his word, the promises of his word, prayer, and faith to grow us. And during our growth, it may look like nothing is going on from the outside, but inside and within, in our hearts, in our minds, in our spirit, a change is taking place. And then we finally have the adult butterfly, our reproductive stage. The adult stage is what most people think of when they think of a butterfly. They look different from the larva. The one thing they can't do is grow. The adult's job is to mate and lay eggs. Some butterflies get energy by feeding on nectar from flowers, but many species don't feed at all. Flying comes in handy. The adult female can easily fly from place to place to find the right eggs, the right plant for its eggs. Like the butterfly, once we reach adulthood, we stop growing and in our physical bodies. Similar to the butterfly, we mate and lay eggs. And I want to think of the egg laying as imparting positive thoughts to your mind and spreading positive energy to others and the atmosphere around you. So our trials can be like the flowers. Our positive thoughts can be the nectar that boosts our energy. Then we feed on the nectar of positive thinking from the flowers of life and boost energy. So no matter what the circumstance or situation is, think of it as a flower, just like the butterfly. Find something sweet, the nectar, you can extract from the situation, and then turn it into great energy to propel you forward. That's what God does. He will use what someone intended for bad and use it for your good. One of the first things you have to start doing is changing the center of your focus and attention from negative to positive, and that's going to be for everything. Victory begins in the form of a thought. The amount is limited only by the person in whose mind the thought is put into motion. Faith can remove those limitations. There are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. So it's only what you actually allow yourself to think. Begin turning each of your negative thoughts into a positive one. Find something, even the smallest thing, that's positive about your challenging circumstance, and then start to speak it out loud. So the challenge will be, or your action item here is going to be for the next 2 weeks to make a commitment and begin making a list of the negative thoughts. Put the negative thoughts on one side of the paper. And then on the other side, write the opposite of that thought. So that you can just for 2 weeks, just kind of see how you're feeling, what kind of emotions and thoughts you're having. And I will have a worksheet that's going to be in the handouts that I send out that'll make it a little easier for you to keep track of that. But all you need to do is just so that you can start actually being aware of the types of emotions, the types of things that you're thinking. And so that you can have a plan so that each time you encounter that, you can already know what the opposite of that is going to be, what your positive thought is going to be. So then the minute that thought comes in, you think about what's on your list, or you look at what's on your list and you start telling yourself that positive thing each and every time you have that negative thought. And you'll be surprised at how many different positive thoughts you can come up with and how you'll start to apply them. So just remember, you're going to change the center of your focus. Then you're going to take a look at your 5 senses and how they're going to be used to produce your mindset makeover. Because we get all types of energy through our spirits from our 5 senses, from our sight, from what we see, what we hear, what we taste and eat, the things that we smell, things that we touch. Those are our 5 senses. And we can allow ourselves to receive things that are not good for us in many of those different areas. So we have to really start consciously thinking about what we want to do different in each of those areas. So the first thing about putting things into sight that produce positive mindsets, you want to fill the atmosphere in all of your surroundings with positive energy that your eyes can focus on. And that could be reading things that have positive messages, that can be writing things down and identifying goals and challenges, that can be creating a vision board, or what some people call a dream board. So start putting things on paper. creating mental images so you can visualize your victory every day, so that you have something that you'll look at every day that can remind you and spark that interest and that motivation. So it's time to get creative. Don't let the thought of you not being a creative person or having creative talents keep you from enjoying creative and artistic opportunities. Working on arts and crafts is one of the best ways, or any kind of art form, is one of the best ways to get your mind focused in a positive direction and to help you take yourself away from it, take your mind and your thoughts off of the trials. It helps you relax and calm down a little bit, and then you have a chance to have some fun. The arts can also represent different aspects of our lives. You can use it to help you better relate to things in life, and it can also be a positive reminder of steps and actions that we need to take in our lives. And art can be in many forms. It can be song, dance, drawing, painting, poetry, writing, arts and craft. There's so many different forms to the art. And it's not about your art being perfect. It's about releasing the negative energy, expressing your desire to have victory, peace, and joy. And it's about you inviting all of those things into your world by choice and inviting them in on purpose. So as a part of our health and insurance plan at work, they have some different sessions that they do during lunchtime to help us try to reduce stress. And this week, I had the chance to go to a session that was about creating a glitter jar for mindfulness. Now, the glitter jar, for each color of glitter, they gave us 3 different colors of glitter. Each color of glitter represented something. We had thoughts, then there were feelings, and then there were experiences. And the jar is our mind. So every day we start out and things are kind of settled. And by settled, that's where you see that the glitter is at the very bottom. Things are calm. And during that time, you can see clearly when everything is calm. The glitter is resting at the bottom. But as you get up for your day and you start to get ready for the day, things start to whirl around. So the glitter starts to move around in there. You have all kinds of things going on. You have traffic issues, concerns with getting your child off to school. You might have spouse issues, financial issues. There's all kinds of things that start to take place. So as those things, start to take place, then you're not thinking so clearly. You're not seeing things clearly. And those thoughts and feelings and experiences keep us from seeing things clearly, just like as you see in the glitter jar. And if you watch it, you can see how it takes time for the glitter to actually settle back down. And that time that the glitter is settling back down to the bottom of the jar, that's the time of you being still and being mindful. So the glitter jar was for us to remember that we will have things that go on. When we look at our jar, we can tell ourselves, okay, the glitter is moving around, things are moving around, they're spinning around. But if we just take a moment and be still, it'll settle back down. And when it settles down, that's when you're able to think clearly. That's when you're able to determine what you're going to do to cope with your situation. So when you become still, you will see clearly. You can't rush being still. You can't rush the glitter to go back down to the bottom of the jar. You have to wait. You wait and you watch it. And then when things get clear, you'll know how to respond. So instead of stressing and becoming anxious, sometimes you have to wait and be still, let things settle back down. So that's what the jar helps you to remember. And in your handouts, I will send you the leaflet that they gave us on how to actually make the glitter jar. But it's also cool just watching the glitter in the jar. It just kind of, when you look at it, it just kind of helps you to think about it and just look at the glitter, and you just kind of get taken away for a moment just watching the glitter. So just remember, sometimes things start whirling around. You have to wait for the glitter to settle at the bottom. That's your period of being mindful, of being still. And the word says, be still and know that I am God. It says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. And that's Psalms 46:10 from the New International Version. The next thing you want to think about is speaking positive words and messages out loud. It's important that they get out. Your words have power. So you want to make sure that the words that you use are going to be positive ones. So you develop a habit of saying maybe your scripture out loud, positive words, messages, affirmations, several times throughout the day. As I said earlier, repetition is key. Repetition also becomes permanent. So you want to make sure you're doing it several times during the day. You can start out in the morning when you first wake up, maybe on your breaks at work or at school, when you're riding in the car, definitely when you encounter a challenge or a situation in your day, and before you go to sleep at night. You can read scripture, you can recite positive messages and affirmations, you can read goals and missions. You can set up a goal and mission statement for yourself and read that out loud. Read that to yourself every day. So it'll help keep you on track. You use positive words when you talk, words that produce strength, power, and success. As an example, when, a lot of times when kids are running around, you say, stop running, stop running. Well, that doesn't help. And you're saying what they're doing that you don't want them to do. So try, instead of saying stop running, tell them what you want them to do. That's positive. You want them to walk. So one of the things that I always say is walking feet, please. That way they know I'm expecting them to walk, not run, and it's not making them feel bad. But at the same time, they're understanding what the expectation is. So you can also try listening to audiobooks. It's like having a conversation with someone. Sometimes you can, if the book's really good, you find yourself responding back, agreeing, and I find myself many times saying amen. But I've been listening to audiobooks on my way to and from work. And Hoopla, it's a great resource. It's through the library. It's free. I will add that link to your handouts, and I can put it in the chat box at the end of this session also. Excuse me, but it's another action opportunity for you now. So if you don't already have,
how do you get the handout?
How do you get it down?
How do you get the handout? Where's the handout?
Oh, I'm going to send the handouts when the session's over.
Okay.
Everyone that attends tonight or participates will get an email. You'll get a follow-up email that's going to have the actual recorded session, and then it's also going to be the reference materials from the things that I've gone over. The handouts will include all of that, different worksheets.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. You're fine. So this will be another action item that you'll want to work on, is developing a personal goal or mission statement if you don't already have one, similar to what they do with businesses, except for this is going to be geared toward your personal goals. And then you're going to add this to your list of things to do. That's going to be a part of your plan of action. And the plan of action is going to have some pointers and tips in the handout packet, again, for you to be able to put your mission statement and your personal goals together. But audiobooks are great, and I've come across two really good ones that have become my favorites recently that I've been listening to that have been very helpful. And again, you'll have these links also. But 7 Thoughts to Live Your Life By, that one is a really phenomenal one. And it's so practical and just like down to earth. It's real simple. It's nothing complicated or anything. And then Rising Strong as a Spiritual Practice by Brene Brown is also another really good one. So I've listened to these two over the last month, and they've just been very, very helpful. So you want to fill your atmosphere and surroundings with some audible sounds and messages that produce positive thoughts. It can be music, it can be podcasts, it can be webinars, anything where you're hearing things over and over and over again. So the goal is to change your environment to produce peaceful sounds around you. You create an atmosphere in your home, your office, your car, everywhere you go. And you can listen, like I said, I listen to my my audiobooks on the way to work. You can use waterfalls or other devices that produce calming and peaceful background noises. You can fall asleep listening to music or educational media. You can find all kinds of resources on YouTube while you can listen while you're exercising, while you're shopping, any of that. It's another good idea to have a playlist. You want to be prepared. Girl Scout motto is always be prepared. But you want to prepare your resources. You want to prepare, like you have the list that you're going to do about the negative thoughts and the positive thought that you're going to counter it with. You want to prepare and know, you have some music and different types of things that you listen to when you get upset or when you get mad, because it doesn't do you any good if you're all upset and then you don't know what to do to cope. You want to be prepared to cope. One of the things that I remember when I was at SBTC, and we had a really bad meeting after, was when they were trying to close the facility. And everybody was just like in an uproar in the meeting. So when the meeting ended, I immediately got up, grabbed my keys. Everybody thought I was quitting. I went, grabbed my keys, went outside to my car, grabbed my CD, because I always had some music that I would listen to, and I had certain songs that I used for certain ways that I would feel. I went to my car, I got my CD, I came back into my office, I put my CD in, I shut my door, put my headphones on, and was in there for about 30 minutes just listening to my music, just trying to pull myself back together. But I have certain songs that I know I use for certain things that I know will just get me feeling a certain way and help me clear my head. So you want to start to produce that type of list and be aware of the different things that help you get through different points, different ways to cope. Then we're going to look at prayer, developing a strong prayer life. You start when you wake up in the morning, you have breaks during the day, in the evening, before you go to bed, developing a very strong prayer life. You have to take a moment from your busy day to talk with God and end your night before you go to bed talking with Him as well. It's also a good thing to find a prayer partner or pray in groups. Before when we start our Girl Scout meeting, we have a prayer circle, and we go around and each person has an opportunity to say whatever they like in prayer, however they want to communicate with God. So that's another form of having somebody else to pray with. But you also, it helps you examine your heart and see that people are also thinking the same thing as you are, or wanting the same thing, or have the same needs and challenges. But it also gives you a chance to be able to pray for somebody else and think about somebody else's need and asking God to help them. And a lot of times we'll find that if we take the focus off of ourselves and think about something else or someone else, especially if you're helping someone else, you'd be surprised how it'll end up turning around better for you. And before you know it, your situation has a solution, or God has answered something for you. But just make a conscious effort to develop your prayer life. Then you're going to go back to the Charlie Brown picture that I showed earlier, where it said he was making a deliberate choice. You want to make some intentional choices. You're going to have to intentionally think and intentionally choose to think positive, no matter what the circumstance looks like. You're going to have to exercise your faith. It's going to require making some change. Two types of thoughts cannot occupy the same place in your brain at the same time. You have to choose one, either the negative or the positive. So you always have a choice, no matter what. You have to surround yourself with people that have adopted that same positive mindset and outlook on circumstances of life. Removing all feelings that are not positive, all thoughts. You have to start analyzing your situations to determine and identify what went wrong and coming up with a plan to overcome that challenge. Until you identify it and face it, you really don't know what you're up against. You have to start becoming really aware of, oh, I got upset about that. Why did I really get upset about it? Was it what the person said, or was it because of some of the things I was thinking or feeling about what was going on, opposed to what their real intention was? You can think of failure as an opportunity to do something different or to do something better. Then you're going to actually start putting all these things together and actually work your plan. You'll come up, you'll make your list, you'll do your goal statement, you'll identify emotions and things like that, and you'll actually start to put your plan together. You'll need to begin to get in touch with your true emotions. Identify the emotions that you experience in each challenging situation, and clearly identify and separate your feelings. You have to look beyond the surface of the symptoms and the reactions and really get down to identifying and separating your feelings. Don't be afraid to ask for support or help. Find somebody you can trust to talk to. And then monitor your emotions for a period of, a couple of weeks. Go through and identify different situations where you may have gotten upset, or you may have felt sad about something, any type of emotion that you're having. Identify what was happening with it, describe your emotions, and start to keep track of that for a series of a couple of days or even a couple of weeks, because you may notice that you may start out the beginning of the week making that list, and then by the second or third day, you may notice that some of those same emotions may be on there. You may have felt happy or sad or depressed or frustrated, tired, irritated. And you may notice that, oh, I felt that way on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then you can look at what was going on those days to find out that it may have been some similar things or similar people that triggered those types of emotions. But you're going to have to do some due diligence and actually start monitoring those kinds of things. And again, you'll have another a worksheet that'll be in your packet as well. And the handout is going to include your plan of action so you can start to identify some of those things. So in concluding the presentation, it's just a reminder that the only thing you can change is really you. You're responsible for you. You have to make some deliberate choices about thinking positive and creating victory, enjoying the peace that you're going to implement. So for the next 30 days, actively carry out one of the 3 techniques that we've talked about. And again, that's going to be in your packet. But the goal is for you to actively think about definitely a minimum of 1. But if you can do 1 to 3 of the techniques that you're actually seriously going to implement, and do them for a matter of 30 days, because remember, the research says that after you do something for 21 days, it technically becomes a habit. And so the reasons to change the negative thinking and embrace a mindset makeover is negative thinking produces stress. Positive thinking in the mindset makeover helps to relieve stress. Negative thinking distracts you from your dreams and blessings and blocks your faith. Positive thinking in the mindset makeover helps you achieve spiritual balance, strengthen your belief and faith in God's promise for your life. Negative thinking contributes to declining health. Positive thinking in the mindset makeover contributes to improved health conditions. Negative thinking damages relationships with family and friends. Positive thinking in the mindset makeover empowers you to build great relationships and support systems. So I encourage you to start your healing journey now. Renew your mind, obtain mental freedom, demonstrate a triumphant attitude. And then you have to ask yourself, what deliberate choices are you going to make? What positive thinking and creating victory are you going to do in your 30-day plan? And then again, for the next 30 days, carry out 1 to 3 of these techniques that have been mentioned. One of the ways that you can participate on the journey, excuse me, with the mindset makeover is by becoming a member and never miss any of the training courses. You utilize some great resources and tools for positive thinking, and then be connected with a group of like-minded people that work together towards the same goal of a mindset makeover. You can register for individual training or wellness education programs. I do have a 3-day training program that's going to take place in January. And then there'll be in-person workshops that'll also be held. And then there are monthly and quarterly memberships that include publications, video presentations, webinars, blogs, and a few other resources. Becoming a member means you're making a commitment and coming into agreement with a group of people that share a common interest and commitment. Becoming a member makes you a part of a community of people that share a common goal for changing their mindset. Becoming a member means having access to tools and resources that will empower you to victory. It also means making a deliberate and intentional choice for your mindset makeover. It means participating in routine gatherings to enjoy an assembly of like-minded individuals where you'll learn new skills and techniques, share your struggles, empower each other, love and support one another on your healing journey, and then also have some fun along the way. The Academy student gives you admission to the Mindset Makeover courses online. So all of the courses that are done, and there'll be several of them, it gives you admission to those, as well as admission to one live in-person conference. And then you have the sneak preview of any newly developed courses. It is gives you the 12-month access to all the newsletters, the ebooks, the webinars, the conference calls. And then you have 6 months of the relaxation journey, which is a video series, answer prayer journal, which is a set of workbooks, and then discounts on inspirational and the natural personal care products. And then after your first complimentary conference, you'll get 50% discount on the live conferences and registrations after that. Then there's the community member. That's the 6-month membership. And you also have access to the Mindset Makeover courses. But again, it's only for the 6-month period. And you still get access to the same ebooks, resources, conference call, webinars, the relaxation journey, and discounts on the products. Then there's a monthly subscription. So if you just want to do it month to month, there's no period of commitment. When you feel like you want to, you do. And then if you don't, you don't. So it's a month to month. And it includes the ebooks, the newsletter, all the resources, the conference calls, the relaxation journey, the prayer journals. The only difference is you would have to pay for any of the courses. That would be individual registration on the courses. It would not include any of the live conferences or any of the training programs. You would have to do those individually. So they're online courses with the newsletters, ebooks, resource guides. There's the relaxation journey, which is a series of videos that have natural images that are embedded with scripture and other positive affirmations and relaxing music. You have the answered prayer journal, which is a series of workbooks featuring testimonies of answered prayers and mindset makeover changes. And then you have inspirational products, health and nutrition, personal care, and then individual conference registration. You can register for the 3-day live training course. The dates are January 16th through the 18th. It's 3 days, 2 hours each day for a total of 6 hours. It's from a Thursday through a Saturday, Thursday, Friday, and a Saturday from 6:30 to 8:30. And again, it is another online course where we go deeper into each of the different modules with more exercises and details. So the offer of the special pricing for today is the 3-day training is $110. The Academy student, which is for the full year, is $200. The community member is $125, and the monthly subscription is $30. So those are the discounts for participation today. These are individual items. If you were just interested in getting the individual items, the relaxation journey is $30, the answered prayer is $20, and those are subscriptions. The inspirational products range anywhere from $12 to $16 each, and then the health and nutrition products varying in price. You can do a $10 registration fee to hold a seat for the class in January, or you can do a pay-as-you-go and pay 50% now to hold the seat, and all balances are due 1 week before the course. And again, so the $10 reservation fee is non-refundable. If you do the 50% deposit, which is the $25 of that is non-refundable, and the balance is due by January 9th. Deposit refunds are in the form of credit towards purchases of other Promise Ministry Center products, and then unpaid balances will result in the seat being released. So the course, you would have to pay the balance by January the 9th. This is the registration link. And I will put in the chat box, I will put the links for the registration as well as the Hoopla. And there's an evaluation form also. I will put those links in the chat box for those that have access to that. And if you do not have access, if you're just listening by phone, then you will get them in your email. And you may end up with 2 separate emails because you'll get the links right away. And then the resource materials will come in a few days because it'll come with the recording. And it'll take a few days for the download of the recording and everything there. We'll open up for questions. It's question and answer period. If anybody has any questions. And you can use the chat boxes for the questions. And that's contact information. And I thank you so much for joining us today. I hope the information has been useful.